While we're waiting for our third presenter, I think I'll go ahead and get started. I have a little housekeeping. So thank you and welcome to the Michigan Works 2020 Annual Conference. My name is Rhonda Abood. I am the Meeting Logistics Manager here at the Michigan Works Association. So on behalf of the staff at the association, all of our sponsors, thank you for being a part of our conference and this session titled Developing Non-Traditional Apprenticeships Utilizing Braided Resources. I'd like to give a big shout out to Oakland County Michigan Works for supporting and sponsoring today's workshop session. It can be a tongue twister. Our sponsors help make this conference happen, and we're very thankful for their support. Along with our sponsors, we have many exhibitors who are given their time to be part of the event as well. So be sure to visit the exhibit booths during the designated hall times. We will take questions and answer. If you post them in the chat, we will address questions and answer at the end of the presentation. Please make sure that you are muted and your camera is off, otherwise you appear on our stage. If you happen to have appeared on our stage, in the upper right-hand corner, it says leave. You'll come off of the screen, but you'll still be part of the workshop session. So we're eager for your feedback about the conference and this session. So I will be posting a survey link in particular to this session in the chat. In the main chat of the event, there's also a survey that'll be posted for the overall, your overall impact and view of the conference since we've gone virtual. Presentations are being recorded and they'll be made available post-conference on the Michigan Works Association website. So we'll see, is Charles, we have an update on Charles? Working, trying.
Yes, yep. I think they're trying to get set up.
All right, excellent. So this session has three presenters, and I'm going to give a basic introduction of them, and they'll probably expand on that a little bit more. But Evelyn Szpliet is the Manager of Apprenticeships and Business Resource Networks from Northwest Michigan Works. We have Amanda Bomers, and I'm sorry if I did I pronounce your name right? Thank you. She is with the Department of Human Resources from Boyne Resorts up there in Northwest Michigan as well. And then we're waiting for Mr. Charles R. Hayes. He's the Office of Corporate and Community Education with the North Central Michigan College. So he'll be our third presenter as soon as we get through the technical aspects, which I have to say, I started the day with technical issues myself. So, and we've seen the platform several times before actually launching our conference today. So we hope everybody enjoys this session in particular. And I'm going to turn it over to Evelyn. At this point, I'm going to be leaving the stage myself. So Cheryl, if you would please hit that button up in the upper right corner that says leave, it'll take your little box off the screen. As just a note, when they have PowerPoints or other materials for any attendee individually, you can double click on that particular square within the big box of squares, and that'll blow up the PowerPoint or the video or whatever the presenters are sharing so you can see it a little better. So I just want to share that with people as well. All right, well, at this point, I'm going to turn it over and hopefully we'll get Mr. Hayes on board here shortly.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here today. And I do want to thank our sponsor for this session, Oakland County Michigan Works. We really appreciate your support. Also want to mention just a couple housekeeping things, that we will be taking questions after the presentation, and want to remind everyone that there are a couple other apprenticeship sessions that will be going on. Kevin Chow will be leading a discussion tomorrow at 1 p.m. for more apprenticeship information. So thank you for attending our non-traditional apprenticeships utilizing Braided Resources. I am very excited to share the workshop stage with so many wonderful workforce development experts. And there is so much great content for us to tap into during this conference. I want to remind you that this is the first time that we have presented a presentation to such a large group of people virtually. So please bear with us as we share our screens and discuss our topic. So I am going to share my screen, or attempt to, with you all. Okay, let me try that again.
You know, sometimes there's a little time delay in it popping up onto the screen.
Okay. Thanks, Rhonda.
Yes.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, great. So today we're really going to explore a non-traditional apprenticeship and the Braided Resources that we integrated into this program. And it's all about Boyne Resorts and a culinary story. So I want to welcome everyone. This is kind of our loose agenda for this discussion. We'll start off with an apprenticeship overview and an expert panel. We'll talk about braiding resources, and we'll also discuss how other initiatives have been integrated into this one very non-traditional apprenticeship program. And finally, we will talk about the summary and questions about the program. So first of all, I thought I would review who we are. We are Northwest Michigan Works and Networks Northwest. We are a demand-driven nonprofit organization who focuses on the needs and of our talent, our business, and our community. But most importantly for this discussion, we are a registered apprenticeship sponsor and intermediate. And we do cover these 10 counties in Northwest Michigan. So we do a lot of traveling for meetings with our apprentices as well as our employers. So I know Scott kind of touched on the 5 components of a registered apprenticeship earlier this morning, and I kind of wanted to review that as well. So yes, we cannot build a registered apprenticeship without fundamental employer involvement. Also, it includes the structured on-the-job training and related instruction, like most of you are probably aware. And then the regular wage increase for the apprentices, as well as that national occupational credential at the end. I always like to say there are 7 core components of a registered apprenticeship. And those other 2 really are a committed mentor who is willing to share their knowledge and skills, as well as that dedicated apprentice who is engaged and committed to completing the program. Most of our employers already have a lot of these components in place, and it's very easily integrated into existing human resource strategies. So the registration process that we use is the same for pretty much all of our employers, and this is the same that we used when we first started to develop the culinary program with Boyne. First of all, we sat down and we discussed the opportunities for what this culinary apprenticeship would look like. We worked hard to develop the Appendix A, created an outline of the on-the-job training tasks, as well as the related instruction. We helped Boyne to complete the documents that were necessary. We submitted to the Department of Labor, and we had a couple modifications, which is typical. And then we had the Department of Labor approval come through. It took us probably about a year to actually develop the entire program. We did ask for a ratio increase of mentors and apprentices, and this was approved by the DOL, which was very exciting. We launched the program, initiated the program by hosting a couple different orientations, one for the apprentices, as well as one for the mentors. And then the program was promoted and marketed internally and externally for the recruitment process. So the paperwork process, yes, the old way used to be very heavy and cumbersome. And today, well, maybe we can't really sit on the beach to complete the paperwork, or maybe we could, but it is much simpler. And the process just goes so much quicker. Previously, employers would have to complete all 5 of these documents, but with our help and as us as a sponsor or intermediary, employers only have to concentrate on the Appendix A and the Appendix D. So now we're going to move into our case study, and we're really going to get into the details of developing this program. First of all, the Boyne resorts, they're a collection of year-round mountain resorts known for great skiing, golf, and spa. They also include retail stores and real estate. Those opportunities are based in lower northern Michigan. They also have locations, though, throughout the nation. The Michigan ski resorts include Boyne Highlands, Boyne Mountain, and also, in addition to those skiing operations, there is the Inlet Bay Harbor that is on Lake Michigan. All 3 of the resorts offer fine dining with executive chefs preparing high-end quality cuisine for their guests. So now I'm going to show you a video to introduce you to Boyne. Thanks for your patience. Okay, let's try this again. Okay. Here we go. So first of all, I'd like to introduce our expert panel, and I'll move back into this screen. First of all, we have Amanda Bomers from Boyne Highlands Resort, and hopeful that Mr. Chuck Hayes can also join us from North Central Michigan College. But we'll move right into some of the questions about preparing for the registration of this culinary apprenticeship. So Amanda, I'll go ahead and start with you. Could you provide an official kind of introduction to who you are and how you're related to this program?
All right. Well, I'm Amanda Bomers, Human Resources Director at Boyne Highlands Resort in Harbor Springs. Back in early 2018, I attended a State of the Community conference in Petoskey, and Dr. Finley was the new president for North Central Michigan College. And at that time, I got a great vibe from him. He was willing and open to new programs, building out the community. And so I reached out to him, and then Evelyn got involved with building a program. And basically, I knew it was something the community needed, and I didn't know if it would work or not. And at the end of the day, it was a great transformation into a year-long conversation and much collaboration.
So when you first started thinking about developing the registered apprenticeship program, did you have specific workforce needs, or were you inspired in some way to develop this program besides the community outreach?
We always struggle, especially in our culinary departments. As many of you know, retention and turnover, they're really hard in food and beverage. And our sister resort out in Sunday River was test piloting it, and I wanted to try it here. I figured we're two different resorts and we have two different resources that we can tap into. And basically their startup inspired me to try to push it here in Michigan.
So culinary is considered a very non-traditional type of apprenticeship. What unique challenges did you face during the development process?
I would say we didn't really run into too many challenges. It was a great collaboration with you and with Chuck and the college. I think the only challenge we ran into would have been the culinary courses. We didn't really have a platform here in Northern Michigan that our students could go to, but having resources from Chuck's previous position, he had a connection at the American Culinary Federation. So it wraps up the program with allowing us to have a virtual platform third party.
Yeah, that was a great connection. So what was the recruitment process for filling the apprenticeship openings, and how many did you start with?
So our goal was to hire 10 for the first cohort, which started in January of 20. However, we only got 8, but that was reasonably good for being a new program. But how we recruited is we posted it, we promoted it, and then as we got applications, we reviewed them to see where their levels were, did they have any experience, and we interviewed. I think here at Boyne Highlands, we did hire 3 out of the 8, and I interviewed them along with the executive chefs. We went through resumes, and we just wanted to make sure that we found the right candidates the right round. So once we selected them, they registered at the college, and then they registered with the Department of Labor, and then I helped them get it registered with the American Culinary Federation.
So as an apprentice at the Boyne Resorts, they have a lot of different benefits, team member benefits. Can you kind of talk a little bit about those benefits and what it's really like to be an apprentice there?
So for benefits, I mean, working here is pretty amazing. If you love adventure, you love ski, you love golf or riding, anything along those lines, you get to ski and golf for free. The apprentices, they're full-time, so they get PTO, sick pay, and medical, dental, vision, life insurance, all of those options. We get tons of discounts on food and beverage, retail, the spa. You know, it's a great place to bring your friends and family and show off where you work. So the apprentices, not only are they getting their schooling and their certificates paid for, they're also a full-time team member. So they get all the benefits everybody else gets, plus I'd say more.
Yeah, that is very exciting. And I know that Boyne Resorts is open to hiring underrepresented populations as well.
Mm-hmm.
And would you recommend registered apprenticeship to other businesses or employers, and why?
You know, I would. It was a very easy process. While it was timely, it's something unique that we can say we have, which will hopefully turn into longevity of employment, retention, less turnover, and it'll be just a great place for people to come and work while learning at the same time. I mean, they leave the program with no debt, and they have 3 certifications, which is an American Culinary Federation sous chef accreditation, North Central Michigan College hospitality certification, along with the U.S. Department of Labor National Apprenticeship credential. So if you are passionate about this program, or you're passionate about providing other opportunities for your team, then if you have the time, it is something that is possible. And it's still an ongoing learning process. We're about 9 months in, but it's going great, and we can't wait to get the next group.
When do you expect to have the next cohort start applying?
So we're currently taking applications. Our goal was to start schooling in September, but we did push that back to January of 21 just because of everything else that's going on. We didn't want to rush it and not select the right candidates.
So what are the plans for the future to grow the program? Do you plan to maybe expand it to a national level?
Yeah, I plan on hopefully keeping this program going. And if we can make it a good platform here in Michigan, then we could probably expand it nationally. As long as everybody gets the ins and the outs of the program, I think it could be huge, huge for our company nationwide.
That's great. Thank you, Amanda. If you have other things that you'd like to share, or if you think of other things that our group should know, there's always room to interrupt. I think Chuck has joined us. Chuck, are you there? Okay, maybe he hasn't been able to log in yet, and that's fine. Amanda and I will kind of continue the conversation as far as developing the related technical instruction. North Central Michigan College is one of the educational providers for this program, and they created actually a hospitality class around this culinary apprenticeship, which in itself was very non-traditional. Now, Amanda, how much were you involved in developing that hospitality class? Did you kind of give some input to North Central Michigan College on what that should look like?
Kind of. Chuck and I met a few times, and we went over what options they already had, and then what they would need to create to have a class. So within that, we talked about the requirements based on the Appendix A that we had put together with you and Chuck, and then that's when they saw they had these classes on the back burner, but they hadn't been using them to the public. So it was something they had to bring back out of the vaults. So it wasn't like they're starting over. It was just trying to get a professor and get them going.
And that professor was actually trained in the field. So that was very unique as well. Mm-hmm. And I know there were a couple different challenges that were addressed during that development. Were there any other challenges that you faced with the related instruction relating to COVID, and how did that platform have to change for the apprentices?
So by the time everything became big here, their coursework was almost completed for the second 8-week semester. So going into fall was, I think, where most of the struggles were going to come into play. And that was just that they had to switch to an online format formally, I believe. And so for learning, it might be difficult for some people, but others, I think it was just a transition that everybody needs to get used to. I think they're a week into courses right now. And so far, I believe it's going pretty good with a hybrid in-person / online format.
That's great. And as far as in the future, we're looking at going back into the classroom for that hospitality course then.
Yeah, I think in person is the way to go for that, just because hospitality has so many things that are encompassed, and getting the actual vibe from the room and being able to hear other stories more personally, I think would help for their program.
Right. And when the American Culinary Federation was brought in to offer that sous chef certificate, Chuck was really such a vital component to that because he already had a relationship. Do you have anything else that you can add to that point?
I just know that the American Culinary Federation has been so easy to work with. Their platforms are visually attractive and their contacts are super quick on responding. So the connection between the American Culinary Federation and Chuck was huge. That's what secured this program, I think.
Yeah, that was great. So now we're going to move on from our expert panel into really exploring some of the braided resources that went into this apprenticeship. As you can see, there are a number of partners that were brought to the table, and we've kind of already explored some of those. Boyne Highlands and Boyne Mountain Resorts, the Inn at Bay Harbor. We also brought in another Boyne resort for consultation, which Amanda was really helpful in bringing that person to the table. And then the connection with the American Culinary Federation, North Central Michigan College, of course, for the related instruction. And then our partners at Department of Labor and our organization helped to develop and register the program. So number 2, as far as grading credentials are concerned, the sous chef certification, certificate in hospitality, and the national occupational credential. All 3 of those will be achieved by these apprentices program. In the picture, you will see Dean. He is one of the executive chefs, as well as the mentors for this program. Other braided resources, number 3, dollars and cents. This is where we get into the funding opportunities. And through the Make a 2.0 Apprenticeship Expansion Grant, we were able to offer Boyne Resorts $16,000 in employer incentives, which helped with tuition and training costs. Boyne Highlands and Boyne Mountain are both Business Resource Network members as well. So we created a brand new internal process for supporting employers through the BRN as far as offering supportive services and tuition for those apprentices. And that new process included paperwork and different ways to initiate this type of resource. And then also Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act was braided into this to add additional supportive services for the apprentices, as well as case management. We really wanted to provide wraparound services for both the apprentices and the employer, and really concentrate on barrier removal and the success of our apprentices. So as I mentioned, we have other integrated initiatives in this culinary program. There have been multiple underrepresented populations that were recruited for the first cohort. We are focusing right now on veteran and youth engagement. Amanda and her team are looking at becoming GI Bill certified. So that part of the program is being launched little by little. And then also we have Petoskey and Boyne School partnerships and the Career Tech Center as well. And in this picture, you're going to see Dean again talking to a group of students at one of our registered apprenticeship presentations. Amanda is in the back as well. And it's really important for us to engage that youth because we are looking at creating a youth apprenticeship within this culinary program. So it is very exciting to see that these young people are engaged in this possibility. And then also Northwest Michigan Works received a Summer Young Professionals grant, and this will include hiring incentives that will support our employer or employers in this apprenticeship once we launch those youth positions. So we always want to encourage other Michigan Works agencies to become sponsor and intermediary. This program is just one example how wonderful it is to work with such amazing partners. So we're always willing to share best practices, how we streamline processes, and how we are encouraging growth. I do want to mention that our registered apprenticeship team at Northwest, they are being cross-trained in WIOA and Trade Adjustment Act to offer additional funding resources. So we're providing on-site enrollments in WIOA during our orientations for our apprentices so that that paperwork is completely seamless to them. And this is a way for us to offer additional support. So just in summary, Amanda, did you have anything else that you would like to add? This is my contact information.
No, you did a great job, and I answered most of the questions that have to do with the apprenticeship program. It's been fun, and building relationships and creating an opportunity for the community and our team members, new or future. So it's fun, and I look forward to continuing it. Okay, let's see. I'll kind of go through.
We do have a couple of questions. Yes.
Okay.
I think this would be for Amanda and maybe yourself too, Evelyn. The question posed was, have you thought about expanding to other occupations within your organization and creating additional apprenticeship programs?
Yeah, we have talked about it. First, we want to get this one off the ground, see if it works, see where it's coming from, get the right data. If we could do a general hospitality apprenticeship program or something along those lines, I think it would be huge. It's just, I want to make sure that this works, which it is working, but we put a lot of foundation work into it, and I don't want to jump too quickly into another one without making sure all of our T's are crossed and I's are dotted.
Okay.
Another question. I'll have to add to that. Yeah, we have other resorts that are really admiring this culinary program. And so they are looking at it to, kind of integrate that into their training plan as well. So if we have other hospitality locations that would like to develop some other type of apprenticeship, we are definitely open to supporting that.
And I believe that kind of feeds into Malin's question. It was, do you have any secondary culinary programs close to you that could avail this? So I'm not sure if they mean other resorts, such as you mentioned, or actually other formal culinary programs at other educational institutions.
I think what we ran into for the educational component was the distance for us. Northwest Michigan College, I think it's in Traverse City, offers a culinary program, but from Harbor Springs, that's almost 2 hours if you have traffic. So that's why we couldn't go that route. But there are other opportunities in other areas that we just don't have up in Northern Michigan. Does that answer that question?
I would say so, Amanda.
Okay.
Our region is so vast. It is, it's very difficult really to coordinate that related instruction and also coordinate collaboration because our employers are so far away from each other. We definitely want to encourage any employers who might be looking at a culinary apprenticeship to explore the options. What does it look like? What's the related instruction that they could tap into? Are they related, or are they interested in online courses like through ACF or a local community college? We explore all of those options with our employers as we go through the process.
I'm gonna skip Mary's question. I'm coming back to it, Mary, but we did say, somebody mentioned Boyne City High School, Petoskey High School, and Sheboygan High School all have these kind of programs, must be at their career technical centers. I don't know if you can speak to that, Evelyn, and in your outreach to them within your region.
Sure, yes. Last year, we had a National Apprenticeship Week event at both Boyne and Petoskey High Schools, and it was very well attended. I would have to say we had 200 or more students, and those were juniors and seniors. We presented an overview of registered apprenticeship, but we also targeted certain employers to come onto our panel, which the Boyne Culinary Apprenticeship was definitely featured. It was very exciting because we had a mentor there plus 2 of the employers to talk about their program. So that outreach is already in place. We've contacted the career tech centers on a number of occasions because we are trying to identify right at this time some of the youth that potentially could be a great fit for this program. And what's most exciting to us is that we have an opportunity to work with Amanda and Boyne Resorts. Hi, Doug. How are you?
Hi, everybody. A little stressed, but I'm okay.
Okay. Well, you're here now, so yeah. It's good. So we're really pleased that Boyne is so open to working with the underrepresented populations and especially the youth, because this program is such a great career pathway. I mean, it would be fantastic to be able to enroll a couple of the youth from the local schools, and we are working on that.
Mm-hmm.
So Chuck,
may I ask the one question here, and then I'll let you come back to Chuck. So the question posed was for the apprenticeship standards. Did you start with a culinary apprenticeship that already existed within USDOL and make changes, or start from scratch?
We did start with a cook occupation, and it was modified to meet the very specific needs of Boyne, and I'll let Amanda kind of talk about that as well, because every location, every employer really needs a customized training plan, and so Amanda was completely hands-on with that process. Amanda, did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was just going through what was already built out and determining where we wanted to go from there. Chuck actually helped me with this as well because he has some experience in the culinary world. But we wanted to make sure that the hour requirements were met and focused on the areas that we thought were most pertinent to the program. And we just went from there, and it just evolved.
Chuck, did you want to add anything to that?
Oh, no, just that it was wonderful. Once Boyne management came to us with this idea, then working with Amanda was really great. And from our side, as has been mentioned a couple times already, I did have some connections, but I had no connections, or I had connections in the culinary world, but not with the ACF. So I did some research, found out more about their apprenticeship programs, got in touch with the director, and figured out a way that we could package both their online courses with the courses that we already have that are either part of another program or they're just standalone courses, and package those with the ACF courses so that we could satisfy both the DOL requirements as well as the sous chef requirements for the American Culinary Federation. And so I think we were able to do that quite nicely. They gave us their blessing, and so we're off and running.
Kind of makes it easy, but it was a complicated process. I mean, when I looked at the materials and everything that had to be kind of sorted out, and to make the selection of what exactly fit perfectly along with what North Central Michigan College was offering and what Amanda needed, It was a much more complicated process, and we sure do appreciate Chuck's expertise in that, because without him, that would have been a very hard determination for all of us to make.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Rhonda, did you have other questions? Ask Chuck a couple questions that we missed earlier.
I'm back. Darren said, would you look to start that as a youth pre-apprenticeship program? I think he's going back to referencing the high school programs that I see Chuck was the one that put those in there. If working with those in school, or are you looking at going right into the full apprenticeship program? Is there some comment there?
From our point of view, we would like to actually have a registered apprentice in the youth population. I mean, that's what we're looking at doing. The funding is there to support youth apprenticeships for our employers, and I think it's just a fantastic time to take advantage of that. That's from our point of view. I can certainly say that we have never been able to accomplish that, but I think culinary is a great place to start. Amanda, did you have other things to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we're working with the local schools, and we're starting connections and getting interest, engaging those students to see if they have the passion and what it takes to be a sous chef. And it would be great to get one of those students in, because we can work them. However, their program would be just a little bit longer than everybody else's as they're finishing up their high school. But they can dual enroll and work collaboratively in the kitchen as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have more to add to that as far as dual enrollment is involved?
Yeah, I mean, they can dual enroll in any of the RTI courses that we offer at the college while they're in high school. So a lot of that could already be done while in high school. To get the certificate that's involved in this program, along with the ACF sous chef certification, the DOL certification, there's also a certificate from the college that these students will all receive. And so they could go a long way toward receiving that certificate while still in high school, if not completing that certificate while in high school, if they started early enough.
Yeah, that's what's so exciting about actually registering the apprentices as a youth apprentice, and putting them into a program like this, because it really launches their career pathway so early on, which is very exciting, the opportunity.
Correct.
Evelyn, we had another question posed, and while you have talked about trying to engage youth and looking at the summer programs, could older workers use this as a retraining opportunity? What is your criteria for entering the program?
Actually,
Evelyn froze.
Yeah, they do their own recruiting. Even though we help promote the program and market it, they're the ones that actually do the hiring for those positions.
Yeah, anybody can apply for it. You know, what I've learned through the first cohort is that anybody that is going to apply and be part of the program, they need to have a willingness and openness to learn new things. Some of the challenges we have run into are people who already have experience in culinary. They want to do it their way, and they're kind of not working well with the let's learn from scratch, learn different styles. So if you have the openness and the willingness and the passion to learn new styles, then this program can be for anybody.
Okay.
Thanks, Amanda.
You're welcome.
Questions, Rhonda?
I do not see any other ones at this point.
So Chuck, can I ask you just a couple questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. When we first sat down to discuss this opportunity, how did you identify the challenges like right in the beginning? And how did you address those challenges? Because you didn't have, North Central Michigan College didn't have a hospitality course that was readily available. So how was that developed?
Well, actually, we did have a hospitality course that was readily developed that we had created some years ago for the Odawa tribe when they built their casino here. But that had been set aside, but the fundamentals were all the same. And so when we talked about the priorities and some of the desires of Boyne, what to get out of this, I talked over one of the old syllabi with Amanda, and we looked at it, and we thought this would work well. So there are actually 3 hospitality courses involved in this, as well as a nutrition class that we offer in another program. But the hospitality program had been defunct, several years ago. But we were able to refresh it. Some of the course outcomes were revamped, got a new instructor that is very passionate about the industry. And we were able to do a lot greater things with this course.
Yeah, that was very exciting going through that developmental process as far as putting those classes together. Just one other question. Would you encourage other educational providers to participate in registered apprenticeship, even if they might not have the exact classes, and why?
Absolutely. I would highly encourage other educational institutions to do this because, again, for North Central Michigan College, we had never been part of the registered apprenticeship programs. And that was something when I first came in 2018, I asked the question, well, are we participating in that? If not, why not? And then when Amanda came to us and we started fleshing this out, talking about their needs and their priorities, that's when we contacted you and said, this is exactly what we need to do. So, and then it kind of all rolled downhill from there.
Do either of you have any more to add at this point? I think we've answered all the questions. Rhonda, do we have any more questions?
Coming back. No, that you have answered all the questions that have been posed, unless somebody has additional ones right now.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank both of our panelists for joining us today. Rhonda for helping us moderate this session. And I hope everyone enjoyed it, that you felt it was beneficial and that there was value. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to answer them, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you, everyone. And I once again want to thank our presenters, Chuck, and for being persistent and joining us. Thank you for doing that. And we appreciate everybody's time today. Hope you have some great takeaways, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow and Wednesday and the rest of the conference. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.